Hello, everyone. I'm Brandon Hodnett, and today I'm joined by brothers Victor Brady, class of 2013, and Jacob Brady, class of 2020. Among their other accomplishments, both Victor and Jacob were known as the voice of the Garnet during their time on campus. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Brandon. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
So, guys, I want to have you first start off by telling our audience a little bit about what you studied at Swarthmore and what you're up to now. Victor, we can start with you.
Sure. I graduated back in 2013 as an honors poli-sci major with a history minor, and focused mostly on like domestic urban public policy. And now I am the head field hockey coach at Bryn Mawr College, and I am starting year 5 here.
And Jacob, how about you?
Yeah, so I just graduated, or I guess it's already 2 months ago now. Crazy how time passes. But I was an honors neuroscience and political science double major, dabbled a bit in chemistry as well while I was at Swarthmore. And I will be starting in just a couple weeks in a neuroscience and nerve development lab at NYU. So very excited for that to begin.
That's great, guys. I know there's been a lot of great moments at Swarthmore Athletics in your respective times there. What were some of those highlights, things that stand out to you from your time there? And Victor, you can go ahead and start us off.
Yeah, I felt like 2009 to 2013, it was just year after year. There were great things happening. Catherine Riley in the softball circle, as just a pitcher with strikeouts and how dominant she was. Men's soccer being ranked #1 in the country at one point while I was there. Some epic like volleyball matches against Haverford. It's really kind of all across the board in the department. So it was a pretty exciting time to be on the sideline as a student assistant coach with some of the teams, and then definitely in the broadcast booth for lots of the other ones.
And yeah, I would say I was very blessed to be at Swarthmore at a time when, there were so many teams competing really on the national stage. Of course, men's basketball, all 4 years that I was there, making it to the NCAA tournament, being ranked #1 this year, of course. Same for women's soccer, making it all 4 years. And then baseball, volleyball, men's soccer this year, all having their chance on the national stage. That was obviously, fantastic to be a part of. But I guess two particular games that stand out to me as a fan, two of the few games that I was able to actually be a fan for during my time at Swarthmore were men's basketball, first ever NCAA championship game back in March of 2017 against, I think it was the College of Staten Island, and just the amount of energy and excitement in Tarbell Pavilion on that night, and seeing them getting a win in their first ever game in the NCAA tournament. And then the baseball team in 2018 playing for the Centennial Conference Championship and winning against Hopkins in extra innings. We had just completed the NPPR dorms in the outfield, had that great balcony, and just, packing it with hundreds of students was just an incredible experience.
Yeah, there's just been so many great moments in the past decade or so, and it's really hard to mention all of them, but I think you covered some of the big ones there, guys. Going back to when you guys were growing up, if you were playing sports in the backyard, did you ever find yourself like commentating in your head or out loud about what was going on? I know I would in the driveway, like counting down the final seconds. Did you guys ever do that growing up?
I thought I was going to go into sports broadcasting professionally, probably from the time I was about 8 until I was a senior in college. So even, I guess, growing up, a lot of it had been approaching, athletics from a broadcasting side. So even, watching games, putting it on mute, and recording myself doing the play-by-play, or sports broadcasting camps, even growing up, doing high school games. And so my athletic skills as a light hitting defensive second baseman and a really average JV cross country runner didn't necessarily match up with my my love of the game. And so being able to commentate and describe and use language to paint a picture was a way to stay really active and involved in athletics in a way that was maybe more suitable.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, my interest in commentary definitely developed later in life, and a big reason for it was ultimately Victor. You know, I arrived at Swarthmore as a freshman, you know, looking for an on-campus job, and I knew that Victor had done all of this work for the Garnet Sports Network, and I thought, you know, hey, you know, I enjoy watching sports, certainly, might as well give it a shot, and, you know, I just fell in love with commentating, and you know, it really got into even sports that, you know, I wasn't really expecting to. I think I called my one field hockey game, say, sophomore year, and then for the next 2 years did all of them. So it's just, you know, I really fell in love with it as a hobby, I guess, during my time in college, and got into it because of Victor's earlier interest in it.
Jacob, what was it like that first time putting on the headset and calling your first collegiate game?
I remember it quite well, because it was women's soccer. Roy Grime was on play-by-play, the former assistant communications director. I was on color for that, and during the first half, I spoke 3 times. I, you know, had no real idea what I was doing. You know, I was very uncomfortable at the time with it, to be completely honest. And it was definitely, I definitely grew quickly into it. And, you know, within a week or so, I felt pretty comfortable with it. But I mean, honestly, that first game was terrifying for me. I just, you know, I didn't want to say something stupid on the mic and, you know, have people laugh at me or like think I didn't know what I was talking about or something like that. But yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking at the time.
And how about you, Victor? Do you remember your first time announcing a game?
I mean, our game plan was to announce a field hockey and soccer game against Ursinus. So this was back in 2009, and then we're just starting the Garnet Sports Network with Mark Anskis and Jared and Adam and Kristen Aberray being, you know, super supportive of everything. And then the mic that we had in the athletic in the communications office wasn't working, and so in between the hockey game and the soccer game, literally did, you know, a several mile run to Best Buy, tried to grab a mic, come on back, and we were able to get it going for a soccer game that night. So
like you literally ran to Best Buy.
Literally ran to Best Buy. So this is still trying to meet people on campus and ask to use a car might have been a little bit more logical, but we find solutions, not excuses, and so we're able to get on the air for that as the first game.
Wow, that's dedication. Were you out of breath when you got on the mic?
It was rumor has it, but I can't confirm or deny anymore.
Does that file still exist anymore to check on?
I've got to find it. So that would have been the first Garnet Sports broadcast, or
it would have been the first with audio. So
okay.
Probably not the first live stream, but yeah, with play-by-play.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, we'll have to pull the tape for that one. So obviously, web broadcasting has come a long way. It was in its infancy with you, Victor. Really hit its stride, I think, when you were a student, Jacob. But what is, what have you guys observed is the importance and the relevance of being able to watch any of your teams, any of their home games? Why is that so important?
You want to take this, Victor?
Sure. Well, and I think, now even as a college coach, having this perspective on it too, I think when, especially at a school like Swarthmore, like Bryn Mawr, where schools that are recruiting nationally, being able to keep families and friends connected with their student athletes who are competing, and then even for visiting teams and their fans back home and other sports teams on campus who aren't traveling, being able to watch the games and their friends and kind of the athletic department culture that that follows being able to watch and stay connected to what's going on. So, gosh, I mean, I can remember even at Swarthmore, you know, we'd have a home game going on and then have, you know, on the phone or on the computer, a live stream of another game going on, and just like that enjoyment of the live action and seeing, you know, friends and classmates and family competing. So I think everything that's going on and with the production value and the HD and the other components that are making it, you know, even more and more professional, it adds to that, like, I'm a collegiate athlete feel. And for the families too, I'm a family member of a collegiate athlete, and it is a big deal and it's a huge commitment. And so being able to celebrate that through the broadcast too, it's really invaluable.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that 100%. I think, you know, if you're competing in athletics at the collegiate level, it doesn't matter if it's D3 or whatever, you and your family and your friends and everybody around you has really invested an incredible amount of, you know, money, time, effort into helping you to succeed academically and athletically. And I think for them to be able to appreciate that is so important. You know, there's some parents that do have the means, especially, you know, either they live close by or they have the means to travel up for every game. But, you know, for a lot of parents, that's not a reality. And, you know, the people sort of adjacent to them as well within the wider family. So just, you know, allowing them to be able to appreciate seeing, you know, people compete athletically, I think it is amazing to be able to help to provide.
I know fans and parents will come up to our press box and say all sorts of things, but I know I've always appreciated when someone comes up and says, hey, we live in California, we've been watching all season, and, you know, we're finally here, but we just wanted to say thank you. And I know that means a lot to me. I'm sure you guys have had positive experiences like that too.
Yeah, for sure.
So as far as personal inspiration for commentary, are there any commentators that you guys really just enjoy listening to when you're watching a game, no matter what sport? You're like, man, like, I just really appreciate this person.
I grew up listening to John Sterling on the radio, and I know that he has both the New York Yankees play-by-play announcer. I know he has both his fans and those who can't stand him. But do you think both his voice and just his way to describe the game and his consistency was pretty remarkable? Definitely, you know, would have the transistor radio kind of under my pillow growing up after bedtime, listening to games. And so it's definitely more of a radio guy than television guys. That just again, just stylistically, the people who could paint a picture and you'd feel like you were there. Certainly what I would try to do and try to emulate.
Yeah, I similarly, I listened to a fair amount of John Sterling on the radio. I would say I went through a bit of a Mike Breen phase back in my early basketball commentary phase, specifically bangs whenever somebody hit a big three-pointer. That was in my repertoire for a while. That sort of got phased out after about a year, but that definitely reflected on me for a while. And I guess more recently, you know, I'm a fairly big Red Sox fan, so I've watched a lot of Dave O'Brien broadcasts on Nesson, and, you know, he doesn't necessarily get the most love from the fans. He's, you know, a fairly, I guess, analytical commentator, I would say, but I sort of enjoy that. And again, even though it's a TV broadcast in that case, just the amount of detail that he's able to provide to the games, and also just the background knowledge regarding players and stats that he's able to provide to viewers, that's something I really appreciate as a fan.
Yeah, I always loved listening to John Miller and Joe Morgan when they were on Sunday Night Baseball together. I think one of my favorites is Kevin Harlan. I think he is one of my top announcers. I know a lot of announcers get a lot of grief, even though, I think a lot of them are very good at what they do. People like Joe Buck and other, I know like Chris Collinsworth, they can kind of be like the scapegoats for people viewing at home. What do you think about when people, trash announcers?
I think if everybody likes what you're doing, you're not doing anything. So I'm all about it. Have a style and embrace it and make it yours. I should also say there used to be a Gus Johnson soundboard, and so during the NCAA tournament, a bunch of the basketball guys and like Jimmy Gill, who I think is still at Rutgers doing athletic communication work, was a baseball player at Swarthmore, a couple years older than me, but I mean, we'd have that soundboard up in the lounge in Parrish too, and so even if we had the screen on mute, we'd be hitting the buttons, so still getting a little bit of a commentary going there too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're satisfied, you're never gonna satisfy everybody. But I definitely think it's good to be open to critique. I've certainly received my fair share of critiques in my day, and I think it's just important to, be open to that and appreciate good advice when it comes.
Yeah. And I think most people that watch sports don't really understand just how hard it is and how complicated it is to just talk into the air for 2 hours straight and to, constantly be finding things. What are some things that you guys found, like, if there's not much happening on the field, what were some things that you would try to do to keep the broadcast going and try to keep yourself interested, and then also the people interested at home?
Yeah, I mean, I would try to, maybe share some fun facts or stories about the players. I was pretty close with some of the guys on the baseball team, especially. So, baseball can definitely be slow, especially if you're commentating by yourself. So, I just try to share some stories about them, stuff like that. I sent a couple of years ago, I sent out a form to the captains, or not a form, but an email asking the captains of the fall sports teams. It's like, hey, could you provide me some fun facts about the players? Just some interesting tidbits they'd be interested in having shared on air, and I got some great ones from women's soccer especially. So I just try to sprinkle those into the broadcast, especially if there was a water break or something going on, just to provide a lighter side to the game.
I mean, there's a lot of prep work that went into it. So lots of trying to put things in, in national context and have conversations about other things that were happening around, the Centennial and Division III athletics in general. I am incredibly grateful, both now as a coach, but even then as a broadcaster, just how open a lot of the SWAT coaches were in terms of, communication with me. And I was writing, and the editor for our sports section in the newspaper. And so there were, just kind of like ongoing interviews and relationship building happening with the coaches. And so even starting to think about how they were thinking about the game and the team and even their sport was so helpful. Even starting to know, okay, what are the questions I need to be asking and looking up in advance so that I am building this, both the breadth and depth of knowledge that I need to be able to have a conversation either with myself, if it was just me on the mic for a couple hours, or at least to probe if the couple of times where we were able to have a color commentator also.
And Jacob, you mentioned like you would send out this request for more information from the team. What other preparation did you have to put in to be ready to call a game?
Yeah, so I definitely didn't do it as much as Victor did. I'll certainly say that, but it definitely is a good investment of time, trying to understand the storylines behind games, where teams are, what's the general conference picture. I think I'd try to spend a good amount of time, especially on the opposing teams, websites. I know at that point our team, our stats, our positions fairly well, but trying to do a fairly deep dive into what's going on with the opposing team, and sort of what are their narratives going into the game.
Victor, when you were at Swarthmore, you're working with Mark Anskis and doing stuff for the Garnet Sports Network. You also had a series of YouTube videos in addition to things that were live. Very creative ideas. Someone would teach you a skill for a sport, or you would try to break an old record. Can you tell us about some of those favorite videos you did, and where did these ideas come from?
Yeah, I'm definitely not the creative brains behind that. I'm going to give all the credit to Mark and Jared on that, but we had a lot of fun with it. Definitely remember. I mean, the 2-mile bike race is the classic, and actually back in high school, I had emailed every current NASCAR driver just asking for a jumpsuit, because why not? So had the fireproof Nomex jumpsuit. We're like, okay, we're going for a race, might as well put that on. And found that.
Which driver gave you that?
Stephen Light was his name. He was it wasn't even in the top series. He was in the second series. So, but sponsored by City Financial. But anyway, so it had that and had a lot of fun with it. And 2 miles on an old bike in a fireproof jumpsuit is not easy on a flat track. So I think we're about 6 minutes over the record. It wasn't pretty, but that was certainly a lot of fun. And again, I think it was a way of Division III and the student athletes. They're people and personalities, and trying to bring some of that stuff out to beyond just the amazing physical things that are happening on the field and in the pool. I guess that was another pretty memorable one, doing a 50 freestyle against some of our top women swimmers, and swimmers who were winning the conference meet. And I'm pretty sure most of them thought I was going straight to the bottom of the pool trying to do a turn. They had already finished, and I was still on the turn. It wasn't pretty.
Didn't you do a belly flop as part of that as well?
Learned how to dive off the blocks, and maybe still have some scarring from that one.
Yeah. Wow, those sound incredible. I think we're definitely gonna have to put these over some of the clips over this interview here.
I think some of my current players have already seen some of them, so it won't be too bad.
Gosh. Jacob, have you seen these videos?
Not in a long time. I remember seeing them when, this was, I guess, 10 years ago now, and this was happening. I do recall seeing them, when they were actually coming out live. But yeah, it was definitely interesting to watch your older brother doing some creative things. I'll put it that way.
I seem to remember one where you're wearing this ancient Swarthmore sweater from the trophy case. Do you remember that one?
I actually don't. I guess there were so many. I mean,
yeah,
we had a lot of fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's also one in of you and McCabe before Haverford basketball games, saying about how black squirrels are responsible for climate change and various things like that.
It's amazing what you forget in 10 years. It's it's scary to think about. It's been 10, 11 years since we were making some of these things.
You've heard of global warming? Well, squirrels are responsible for 75% of all greenhouse gases. 75%. I'm all about recycling. I'm all about carbon taxes, the whole 9 yards. Bottom line, you get rid of squirrels, no more global warming.
Yeah. All those facts are true, by the way.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Let's see. And guys, what does being a part of Swarthmore athletics and just being graduates of Swarthmore, what does that mean to both of you now? And Victor, we can start with you.
Yeah. I mean, I think for especially for me as a coach now, so much of my philosophy is shaped by both the way that Swarthmore balances academic and athletic excellence, and the relationships I was able to build with the coaches at Swarthmore, both through, when I was working as a student assistant coach with them, but also, I mean, just how willing folks were to let me travel on the bus to road games and be, a small part of their team in those moments to then broadcast even on the road. So I feel like so much of what I do now professionally is shaped by that experience there. And when I think about, as much as, I take pride in being a SWAT alum, and the academic experience was rigorous and challenging in a really appropriate and motivating way. So many of my, when I think of Swarthmore, it's the athletic experience there, the friends that I made through Swarthmore athletics, both my peers and the coaches.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I wasn't ever quite as intimately involved with athletics as Victor was. Didn't do the whole student coaching route, especially. But I think in developing relationships with athletes that were there, I think, for an outsider, right? Swarthmore is a good school, but you don't necessarily appreciate how much time people actually have to dedicate to academics and just how rigorous it really is. And combining that with, being expected to spend, 15, 20 hours a week, whatever it is, in service of your sport, and, being able to see all the people who did that and did that so consistently, I felt was a really inspiring thing. And, something I hope to do for myself moving forward, about, trying to, I guess, fill your life with so many things as the athletes really do, and being able to excel in all of them.
That's great. Guys, this kind of concludes our interview. Any final thoughts or anything you want to share before we go?
It's always a great opportunity to talk about kind of the 4 years there and the broadcasting, and it was a good walk down kind of memory lane, reminiscing about the people and the moment. So I'm super grateful for the opportunity, and even though kind of a rival now, there's always a lot of my heart is over there on Clothier Field. So. Thank you, Brendan.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm obviously not all that far removed from it at the moment, so I'm not exactly reminiscing, but, I can certainly imagine looking back 10 years from now and just appreciating how valuable and important of an experience my time at Swarthmore and my time working with athletics really was. And I'm excited for hopefully spring sports coming back, we hope, and being able to watch from afar.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. We appreciate everything you've done for Swarthmore athletics, and I hope that both of you will stop by and say hi the next time you're on campus.
All right. Thanks so much, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you.